name is Kasia Michalak. I work at Lorincz. We are an IT recruitment agency, and my today's topic is 5 tips to support your team during COVID, because I think we faced it all, and some companies managed to go through COVID better, some didn't. So that's our tips to go through it as well. And let me tell you just in a few slides more about Lorincz. We are, I hope, the best tech recruitment agency according to Recruitment Brain Food. There are a couple of our awards, and I think it's because we combine quite good HR standards with IT standards. And we have 2 models of cooperation: single recruitment and dedicated recruiter. And here are a list of our clients, so we are doing quite well. And so here's my topic today, and I decided to, focus on 5 tips, although this speech could last for 2 hours, I guess. So my first would be stay transparent with your team. So let your team know what you are doing, how the company is going on. Hold on some weekly meetings and Q&A sessions so that everyone can ask about what's important for them. And if they are worried, if they are insecure, there's a time for you to answer all the questions. The second one would be stay curious and listen to your team. What they need, what's significant for them, what their current problems are. You can talk about it during one-on-ones. And I do recommend, if it's possible, of course, to meet and have a walk, because if you talk about stressful situations during a walk, then it's better to talk about them, because you feel less stressed compared to a situation when you are sitting behind it, like a desk or a table, and in front of the second person, and it creates a super formal situation. So do talk to your people. Stay curious about what's happening in their lives, how they are doing, how do they feel with the workload. The third one would be stay honest. If you don't have an answer for everything as a leader, say it openly. Of course, it can't happen every day, but you don't need to know everything as a manager or leader. You have the right not to know something, but you can always tell your team that you'll check it and you'll come back to them. And actually, I don't know if you heard about Brené Brown. She's quite good at, this topic. And she says that, by being vulnerable, you are showing that you are confident and you are showing your strength. So do show your team sometimes that you don't know everything, and they have the right not to know everything as well. The fourth one would be stay confident and have a trust to your team. I'd say that controlling currently is no longer an option, and being in the center of attention, being an authority when we think about the old times in the office is no longer an option. Now we see only our faces via computers, and that's how we communicate. So focus on the results, not on how much time people spend on the task they do, and stay confident and have trust for them. And the last one would be stay supportive, because that's what people need most currently. Ask about how they combine their private life with their professional life. A lot of people have struggled because they need to work and they need to take care of their children, and it's super hard if the children stay at home as well. So stay supportive to your team, give them flexible working hours, and I'm sure it will all, pay off. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
My name is Emmy, and a quick introduction to myself. So I'm calling in from Switzerland today morning, and you see all the other countries I lived in. Switzerland happens to be my country number 7. And on the right-hand side, you see the companies I worked for. So I started off in finance, and also took a step into commodity trading because I found it very interesting. And my intro to crypto was Shapeshift in 2018, and worked for Shapeshift out of Zug. And today I have the pleasure of representing Ledger Vault, which is the B2B arm of the security company Ledger. I had to put in a meme into this presentation. Basically, it's not a secret that Bitcoin is my favorite coin, which is the very first cryptocurrency, which was launched on January 3rd in 2009. And like many of you who are listening, or many who are new to crypto, I was first interested in the high return potential of Bitcoin, looked at it as an investment, and later I learned about the notion of empowering the individual, the idea of a finite asset, and also shifting back the balance of power to the person. And also about the fact that Bitcoin is not centralized by any entity, and basically no central entity can have power over it. And later I found myself working with the world's smartest people and really thought that Bitcoin is digital gold for nerds. But I went to realizing that Bitcoin is digital gold for everyone. And I recently gave a TED talk about the aspects of privacy of cryptocurrencies, mostly Bitcoin, and how Bitcoin can be our guardian angel to privacy. Let me tell you more about Ledger, which is the pioneering security company in critical digital assets. In 2014, the founders of Ledger have realized that, okay, we need to put our hats together and create a security company which helps this industry to grow. And since then, Ledger evolved really into the number one security company to secure your critical digital assets, and it has evolved since. We have over 200 employees today, a very diverse group, not only when it comes to gender diversity, but also when it comes to culture, experience, and expertise. We have a presence in New York, in Paris, where the HQ is, in Zurich with my representation, and also in Singapore. Briefly about the three arms of Ledger. So maybe you all are familiar with the consumer arm, which is the Ledger Nano, and then the custody technology arm, which helps institutions to provide with a very smooth and an easy to use platform in order to secure high amount of cryptos. And there is Ledger Origin, which is the IoT arm of the company. An insight to a few customers. So we are really proud to be working together with some of the pioneers of the industry. And this is to just briefly describe why did we create the Ledger Vault arm. Basically, the nano users have stored millions of assets on these little devices, and then they asked for a product which comes with compliance, which comes with security, and also provides with scalability. So then we created the Ledger Vault, which basically allows you to have the same business flows what you have in your traditional business or traditional thinking. So basically you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to processes. Basically you are always holding the private keys, so you have fully ownership and independence over your assets. And it's also incredibly easy to scale because we focus on security, and we help you add new coins as we go. I want to be mindful of the 5 minutes. So a closing slide, that today financial institutions can trust critical digital security companies. And basically then these financial institutions can focus on the core business and leave security of critical digital assets with the experts. Thank you for your time, or thank you for the attention, and really happy to chat in in the Remo room, or how do we call this, Jan? So we can.
Hi, I am Mirela Blaschke, and I will talk today about agile testing. What recommends me to talk about agile testing are the following facts. I'm certified as international tester from South European Testing Board. I'm also certified as Scrum Master. I'm working on Agile framework, and my current role is a software test engineer on an IT project in insurance industry in Vienna. And my scope today is to share my experience regarding agile testing and how was this shift from traditional testing to agile testing. I want to point out clear the agile testing characteristics and to make you understand the differences based on my professional experience. So, what is agile testing? Agile testing is a practice that is widely used on software development projects. And this practice follows the rules and practices of agile development. Who is performing this? This is performed by the agile testers, and actually their role is to measure the quality of a software. In general understanding explanations. I want to make it clear the common points between the traditional testing that was performed a long time ago and everyone knows it and it was used and it was working, and agile testing. For these two types of testing, they have the common goal to deliver quality software. Of course, in order to deliver this quality software, they are based on simple and almost the same principles. This is the common ground for both of them. So the basics are the same. And what I can tell you, nowadays, many companies use a hybrid version of both. So it's difficult to say and to practice only agile testing or only traditional testing. Of course, traditional testing, where the software application is developed and then tested, is mainly used for public services, for products, for softwares where the documentation is complex and the projects itself are complex. Agile testing is used for small projects, for agile and flexible projects, I would say. So now I can step into agile testing and let you know some ideas based on my daily practice. What is the most important regarding agile testing? In agile testing, development team and testing team are working in collaboration. So this is the main characteristic. They are not working in different stages. They are working in the same sprint. They are working on the same product. One team is developing, the other team is testing at the same time. That's the characteristic of agile testing. So we are not talking about testing team. We are talking a development team that is formed by developers and testers and other actors such as Scrum Masters, such as product owners, such as stakeholders, or any other people involved in the product development. What is also here important to mention that testing is also based on multitasking activities. Why? Why I'm saying this? Because at the same time, you have to learn the product, to understand the requirements, to create test case design and to execute. Of course, you can also do test defect management, report, or take part into the different meetings, all in the same on a daily basis, I would say. What else is important to mention here regarding agile testing is the fact that we have a process based on iterations. We are all working in sprints. This is the agile framework. It means that in one sprint, a sprint duration is between 2 weeks and 4 weeks. And we try to develop a small and stable part of the product, and then to release it. So next sprint, we will add features on the newly developed functionality part that was previously done. So it's step by step like this. I'm trying to explain the best I can to bring it clear. What's the difference? Also for agile testing is based also on explorative testing. It means that every time we develop a new feature, we try to check the whole functionality, and this means that we have to check that end-to-end is working. End-to-end, from the moment you start the application until you want to have an outcome, depending on the stage of the product, of course. And what is also important to mention is that everyone can collaborate, so there are no limitations, no barriers between development, testing, stakeholders. More or less, I think these were the aspects that I wanted to share with you. I hope that I succeeded to point out the most important aspects of agile testing. Of course, I would also want to talk about the principles, but the time is not offering me this possibility today. But anyhow, I hope I could share valuable inputs so that you have it much more clear what's testing about. Because testing is not, as artificial intelligence is not something new, but the lack of it will affect the user directly. And I'm sure you have had the situation when your mobile application or desktop application was not working properly. At that point, the testing was not properly performed. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jan and Disruptnet for organizing this. It's quite an interesting experience, I have to say, this interactive format. So anyway, we figured out how to use, how to do the presentations as well. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview. I'm from FetchAI, and we're located in, can I change the slides? How do I change the slides? Okay, I'll just come here. We're based in Cambridge, UK, and we are working on combining these new transformational technologies. So my role is to look after the business development. So I'm working with the industrial academic partners around Europe and worldwide, and I am also involved in Blockchain for Europe Association. So we together, FetchAI, together with several other companies like Ripple, Binance, Cardano, we have formed Blockchain for Europe Association to speak with legislators and policymakers, and in order to have a dialogue with them. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about Fetch and also what we do in terms of mobility space, and then we're currently working on implementation in Munich, Germany. So our mission is to build an infrastructure that is required for autonomous software agents to unlock the value trapped in wasted data and organize complex tasks to benefit individuals, businesses, and organizations. So we're not building another platform or another app. We're really focused on building the infrastructure that combines these new transformational technologies. So we're not looking at only blockchain or only AI or IoT or whatever technologies you have, but we're trying to build this infrastructure that can make them all work together. And then you ask, usually people ask, so how does this work? And so when we talk about AI, we talk about subsets that represent multi-agent systems. And agents are software agents that can represent people, IoT sensors, organizations, services, you name it. So in a way, you can think of that sort of like a digital twin that is put in this virtual or a digital world. And so every day we see these devices, these IoT devices, and then they generate more and more data. And the problem we have these days that all this data is sitting in silos. It's not being connected because mostly what we have done traditionally is, people or organizations create their own platforms, but these platforms are not interoperable. They're not connected. So what we have done is we've created this layer of agents, and they're connected through agent framework. And they're finding each other in this, we call it open economic framework. And you can think of that as a Google for agents. And it's a decentralized. So the difference between our system, the decentralized systems that we're all building here and the old world is that this is decentralized. So when we have search engines currently, they collect all this data and information about you. In the decentralized way, in the new decentralized worlds that we're building, this data stays with you. So these agents, they can search for each other, they can find each other, they can negotiate terms and conditions, they can make contracts, and they can following up on these contracts, they can actually exchange value, and then these contracts and these terms are then stored on a blockchain. So this is how the AI and the blockchain and IoT can be combined together to create one large ecosystem where all these different players can be connected and can find each other, and they can exchange value and data. And then these transactions are then logged on trusted, verifiable, and immutable blockchain. And the blockchains are interoperable. So we have built, our own blockchain, but it's interoperable with Ethereum, with Binance Smart Chains, and we're developing with Cosmos, and we're developing further interoperability solutions. When we talk about these agents, so they're really multi-stakeholder ecosystem, and so where this is applicable is really mobility, smart cities, supply chains, because they all have these large ecosystems of players, stakeholders that are not connected to each other but want to transact together. And so in mobility, we talk about traffic and road signs. You can have vehicles being represented by agents, charging stations, parking spaces. And again, they can all interact, communicate together. And what is the key, one of the key important information is that this is all happening in real time. And by becoming aware of their surroundings, these agents have intelligence to analyze the situation, and this will enable to make our transportation, for example, in this case, in mobility case use case, make the transportation systems more resilient and more efficient. There will be rerouting of vehicles that can happen automatically when accidents happen, or when there is a change of weather or congestions, and so on. And this will allow really freeing up productive time for drivers and passengers by breaking down all these silos and connecting all these different participants in this ecosystem. I mentioned that we are the layer of the agents, we've done the blockchain. What is also really interesting is people in the blockchain space understand data oracles. In our case, the data sources, the oracles, can also be represented by agents. And that allows them not to be just passive participants, but really to be active and represent their owners or the data sources. they come from. So just a quick, visual representation. So these are all use cases that we're working on currently. A parking system where agents can optimize the usage of parking spaces, decentralized delivery network. So that's in a way you can think of that as Uber. So combination of Uber and delivery services for food. And then we have also hospitality in the hospitality space. And that's because these are, again, all connected systems. We all drive somewhere. We want to park, we want to order food, have that delivered. When we're driving an electric vehicle, when we want to recharge, we want to find a place that has a restaurant because the charging is going to take some time. So these are all connected ecosystems. And what we're doing is, again, using these software agents to represent their owners and to make some useful work on behalf of the owners. We have one interesting use case or implementation in Munich, in Germany, with colleagues from Datarella. And it's an optimization of parking space. So at the moment when you drive to a parking place, you usually go around, you look for places, and then somehow, when you're lucky, you find one. What this what this does is it really increases our CO2 consumption. So we drive and drive and drive. Wouldn't that be nice if we just had one, a way to understand where these open spaces are? And yes, you can argue that there are, parking apps, and when you drive to a different town, then you have to find a different parking app, or when you drive across Europe, you have to find you go across so many countries. So what we're really, again, trying to do is to build this infrastructure that you can put on top of that different apps. They're not fetch apps. Anybody can actually build these apps to represent what's happening in their place or with that in that ecosystem, particular to them. So here, what we have done with Datarella is actually connecting the drivers coming to the parking spaces and showing them the free open parking spaces. But what we're also doing is incentivizing them to park a bit further away. And this parking space that is a bit further away is less expensive. So because usually people want to drive somewhere and then find the closest place, but what we really end up is just driving around, like I said. And so by being able to have more visibility and help with the agents to direct the drivers to the right location, or enable them, give them options to park either closer for a more expensive place or further away with something less expensive, or not drive at all. That's also a possibility, to incentivize drivers to use public transport and give them, as a reward, give them tokens. Again, those are new ways of incentivizing, optimizing parking and driving, and also helping to incentivize more use of public transport and decrease the CO2 emissions. And ideally, this will save time and money, reduces driver stress. It can also enable new economic models where you have buildings, and people leave away from the building. They can enable somebody else to rent their park space, and really by using these agents and having the agents develop the algorithms, understand their surroundings better, you can really optimize these ecosystems.
What slides do you have?
I think I'm done. So this was just a quick overview. I'm really glad to be here again. I think it's really cool to have more, people interested in these technologies. And what I would like to just say is really we need to think about having combining these technologies, not thinking of them separately as a blockchain or AI or IoT or whatever else we have, but really bringing them together.